Thanks for joining us for another edition of Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. We have with us the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, the Honorable Audley Shaw. We thank you for your company. Minister, good to have you again so soon after your recent appearance. One of the questions people have is about next year's budget and the plan of the government to fully implement the 1.5 promise. And people point to the amount of money it will take to actually implement that 1.5 next year, April, and they wonder whether you really will be able to complete that two-phase implementation. Oil prices have been sort of going up. There might be some indication that commodities might be inching up between now and next year. Are you sanguine that you will be able to complete the program?
Well, you know, we can't be sanguine about anything. We have to be alert, and we have to be penetrative about all of the opportunities. And you know, I'm always inspired by a term that says, in every adversity, there's always a seed of greater benefit.
Yes.
And that seed of greater benefit that I will start my answer with is to indicate to you that tax reform is still a work in progress. We started with a fiscal responsibility framework, and we started tax reform. The past government carried it along the way with an omnibus legislation and further sure-footed steps in that tax reform process. And yet we have a ways to go. And as I've told you in a previous interview, that the issue of moving to indirect taxation is very much on the table. The 1.5 is only the start of that process.
A comprehensive
of a more comprehensive tax reform. And to that, in that regard, the IMF is, we've invited the IMF to come and share with us their own knowledge, expertise, experience. And in fact, a team is coming to Jamaica on the 6th of July, and we'll be here for 2 weeks for us to earnestly begin to look at this more comprehensive tax reform that has to be on the table. And what are some of the things that underpin that thinking? It is that in looking, as I said to you before, in looking at the nature and the character of our economy, we have to now design something that fits it, right? And can yield the optimum, not just in what you earn by way of revenue, but interestingly enough, that optimization of which I speak is also how you incentivize the production process. Now, that might be something the IMF don't like to hear.
Controversial, yes.
But that is something we have to be courageous enough to leave on the table. And you know why? Because the rest of the world is doing it.
Absolutely.
Whether the IMF likes it or not.
That is a fact.
Go to New York City, go to the state of Texas in the United States,
right,
go to England, go to Europe,
India,
India, anywhere.
Right. Yes.
Incentives
China.
are there, and incentives are there to stay.
Absolutely
So guess
right.
what? If I did not, against the IMF's own doctrine, the Junior Stock Exchange, I put that in place. True. Now, the Junior Stock Exchange had just reached a point where it was beginning to literally take off when the previous government was about to shut it down, right? I have stopped that. Now, let's go no further than the LASCO experience, right? LASCO started this new line, iCool drinks. They are now up to 300,000 cases per month. That's out of the Junior Stock Exchange, okay? They are, in a few months' time, going up to about 700,000 cases per month. And Lastrin called me to tell me that by next year, they'll be up to 1.9 million cases per month. That's almost 2 million cases per month. Now that means that they are going to now penetrate the export market. That's what it's about. You start out in the local market. You maybe even work out some of your kinks. You're doing an import substitution there because you're competing with imported drinks from Trinidad and other places. But now you've reached a point of maturity and you've introduced technology and you're going to move now into the export market. And we're earning, guess what? Taxes, you're going to earn from that consumption taxes.
Absolutely.
So the more is produced is the more we're going to earn from consumption taxes. That is indirect taxation. And so it is you look in this tax reform at other things. For instance, one last thing, can we incentivize those who export foreign exchange in profits? How can we keep them to encourage them by a tax policy to retain and reinvest more of their foreign exchange in Jamaica?
Yes. Straight talking, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Honorable Audley Shaw, putting some key things on the agenda of discussion for us. We take a break, but we'll be right back.